Hello again, this is Mark Summers from Summers Technical Services. We're going to work on our first Solidworks assignment 1, which is our hex bolt. And I've already given you information about downloading the data sheet from McMaster-Carr. So we'll start that off with a new part template. So we say File, New, and we'll pick an inch part template because this part data sheet is dimensioned in inches. And we'll see IPS down here, inch, pound, second. So we're in the right orientation, or the right units. So here's our 3 planes we start off with, and there's our origin. We get those for free. And so I want to sketch on my front plane to do my first feature, which is the hex head. So I'll select the front plane, go to Sketch tab, and select Sketch, and now I'm sketching in the front plane. And so I'm going to draw my hex head bolt, and the orientation is shown on the data sheet. And I'm going to use my line command and go here to here, and making sure these lines that need to be vertical are vertical. And we'll line these up and go like this, and vertical line here, and then we'll close it out here. Right click select to get out of the command. So I've got vertical constraints here, and the rest of these things are loose. So what I want to do is I always want to do geometric constraints first and then do dimensional constraints last. The only dimensional constraint I'm going to need is that distance across those flats, and so I'll need a lot of geometric constraints before I worry about that. So first thing I want to do is notice that these points here, the top and the bottom, need to line up vertically with the origin. So I've got the origin, control click the 2 points. I've got all 3 of those in the blue box, and I'll hit the vertical orientation or vertical constraint. Now these ones over here on the side, these need to be lined up in the middle with the origin, but I don't have a feature in the middle, but I can add a point. I'm going to add a midpoint to this edge, or this line, put it right there. And I'm going to hover over this line and come down here near the middle, and notice that the indicator snaps. It's going to be a midpoint. So when I click, right click select to get out of the command, now I've got 2 points that are the midpoints of those lines. And now I can do like before. I can grab that point, control click that point. The order doesn't matter. Control click the origin. Now those 3 are in the blue box, and I'll make those line up horizontally. Now what do I want to do? Well, I need to find some blue corners and drag them around and see what makes sense. Well, a couple of things come to mind. These lines here should be parallel to one another, and these should be equal as well. And so I can do combinations of parallel lines, equal lines, but I'm gonna think of something else, and I'm going to make me some construction geometry. And so let me do this, and I think once I do it, it'll make sense. So I'm going to draw a circle, even though there's not a circle in my final extruded shape. I'm going to put a circle on here at the origin, right-click select to get out of the command. And I'm going to use this not as extrude geometry, but I'm going to use it as construction geometry. So I select the circle, say for construction, and now this is not going to be part of my extrude. It's going to be part of what controls my sketch. And so now I can drive these points to live on that circle by making those coincident. And I can do the same over here. I can select that point, control click the circle, and make that coincident. And I can go around and do that for all of these points, or I can speed up the process. I can click and hold and drag these points and let them snap to the circle, and I get that same constraint coincident. So that might be a little faster for me. So that one needs to snap. This one needs to snap. Oh, it looks like it's already there. So now it looks like all those points are on that circle. But I've still got more problems. It's not fully constrained yet, and I think I see why, because these links need to be, it needs to be a regular polygon, which means all these links need to be the same length. So I can select that line, control click that line, control click that line, And now I've got 3 lines. I'll make those equal. Whoops, got a point by mistake there, didn't I? Let me try that again. So I'm going to grab that line, control click that line, control click that line. Now I've got 3 lines, make those equal. And I should have kept dragging. So these are, see the constraints there, that one's equal to this one. This constraint makes this one equal to this one. So each one of these constraints that are equal, they're pairs. You can't have one without the other. So these come in pairs. So I need this one to be equal to this one. Could have done these all at once, but I didn't. Now what? Now when I drag things around, what happens? Now this thing is behaving like a regular polygon, and now all I need is a dimension. And the only dimension I need is this dimension across these flats. So I can grab this line. I don't like to do dimensions to corners. I like to do dimensions to edges. So I go there to there. And this, I believe, is 1.5 inches. Now what happened? Now everything turned black. It says fully defined down here, so now my sketch is fully defined. That's what I want. I want a minimum number of dimensional constraints and everything else to be geometric constraints. So I'll get out of the sketch. I'll do a space bar to get my pop-up view. I'll go to ISO view. I'm going to pre-select the sketch. I'm going to go features, extrude boss base. And I can type in the depth of the extrusion by just typing in the fraction on the data sheet, and it'll calculate the value for me automatically. Now I need to sketch on this back face over here and do my shoulder shank, my unthreaded portion of the screw. So I'm going to go sketch on this face right here. Hit the sketch button. Now I'm sketching on this face. Now I'm going to make me a circle. Use the circle command, and I want to circle at the origin. Right click select. Now what you don't want to do is type in dimensions using the properties box over here. I could type in a 1/2 inch radius, but that does not give a constraint. Even though this circle right now is 1/2 inch radius, 1 inch diameter, that is not a constraint, because it's blue still, and if I drag it around, it's going to change size on me. I want this thing to be tied down and constrained, not loose. See, if I move it around now, the number's changed. So the only way to get a dimensional constraint is to use Smart Dimension and let it guess what I want. So if I select a circle, it's going to assume I want to type in a diameter. Now it's constrained. Now if I select that circle, this is correct number here, but I can't change that number here anymore because it's dimensionally constrained with that Smart Dimension. So now I can get out of that sketch, and I want to pre-select the sketch, go back to features, extruded boss base, and then the length you're going to have to calculate yourself. So I'll just, this isn't the right value, but I'll put it right in the middle. So what is half of 2.875 minus 2.25 divided by 2? That's not it. I need to divide. I need to do that again. 3.5, that's the overall length, minus 2.875. No, plus 2.25. That whole thing divided by 2. So that's the average. That's more like it. So that's not the correct value. I want you to figure out which one of those values are correct. That's just the nominal in the middle. All right, the last sketch is going to be, I'm going to get back on this face. This is my third and last feature. I'm going to select that face and hit the sketch command. Now I'm on that face. I'm going to go grab my circle command and again put the circle right at the origin. That's an advantage for putting those planes right in the middle, because the origin passes right through intersection of those two planes. So that was a strategic way to do that first sketch. Now I've got that circle. I'm going to do a dimension, and I want there to be an edge there, and so I'm not going to put in 1 again because, well, I'll show you what will happen. If I put in 1 here, and then I extrude, now that sketch is fully constrained. Get out of that sketch, select the sketch, go to Features, Extrude Boss Base, and again, this is not the correct value, but I'm going to type in 2.25 plus 2.875 divided by 2, that's the average. And if I extrude that, you can see that there's no longer, and there's not an edge there. I want to see where the threaded portion stops and the shank begins. And so when you make this last sketch, I want to go change that value. And so to get back into the, if you want to edit one of the features, just select the feature and right click on it and go to Edit Feature. You'll be able to change the parameters of the depth of the extrude. If you want to change the sketch, go find the feature, open it up in the tree, there's the sketch, right click, and then say Edit Sketch. Right click will get you options. That'll almost always work. Now what if I make this one, I'm going to make it maybe 0.995. Again, this is not a manufacturing model, so if it's slightly off, it's not going to be a problem. And now when I get out of that sketch, since it's a slightly smaller diameter, I'll get that little edge there, and that way I can see where that edge is. And so that was a very quick model, but I don't need all those other features. All I need is the basic geometry so I can use this thing in a new design. Okay, so that'll get you through the assignment 1. One more comment before we leave. Make sure to give the file name. Make sure to save as you go. But when you save your file name, use the file naming formats we talked about in class. Also, do not forget to assign the material. So go to your data sheet from McMaster-Carr, find out what the material is, and then right-click on the tree where it says Material Not Specified. Say Edit Material, and go find the material from the library that comes with Solidworks, whether it's steel, aluminum, whatever your alloy is. You should be able to go in here and find an alloy to assign that matches the data sheet. So that should do it for now, and we'll continue with more assignments as we continue through the semester.